Hi, Magic fans, and welcome to Penny for Your Thoughts, episode 13, the festive Christmas jumper episode. As always, I am joined by Grant. Hi, Grant. Hi, Grant. How you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you, mate. All ready for Christmas and the new season.
Absolutely, mate. And with Mikey, as always. How you doing, pal?
All good, mate. Thank you. Liverpool top of the league, so coming off a 7-0, just to rub it in the Geraint. There you go, mate.
Can I just say we don't want to talk about football?
Nope.
The Leeds fan 6-2 against Man United. It's not a subject we wish to talk about this weekend, but thanks very much, Mike. Appreciate it.
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
And for the first time, we are joined by our friend Chris, known to many of you as Faults for the Win via Twitter. Chris, hi, thanks for coming on, mate.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. We really are happy to have you join us. It really is good. What we wanted to do is have different people and bring different fans in, get a different perspective. So we really appreciate you joining us.
Cool. I'm excited.
Now, mate, I'm conscious that a lot of people won't know about you or whatever. Would you mind just giving us a quick rundown about yourself?
Sure. Well, I moved to Orlando in about, I want to say like 1995. That's I was 6 years old. Some of my first experiences with basketball was going to Magic games with my dad. Shaq and Penny were around at that time, and it kind of just took off from there. Spent a little bit of time moderating the Magic message board because I was bored in college and had a lot of free time. And so I think a lot of Magic fans know me from there. And then Twitter kind of took off, and now I spend most of my time there.
We genuinely love some of your takes. And I know on more than one occasion you've been quoted on our podcasts here and in tweets that we've done and the like. So genuinely some good stuff, mate, from you. So we really are looking forward to you being with us. That's excellent.
I might need to clip that from my wife to see all this basketball's worth it. Someone's appreciating it.
This is the only reason.
Christmas present.
This is the only reason we're on it, so our wives have to hear us waffle on about the Magic every week.
Right.
That is genuinely where a lot of this came from, that we have somebody to talk to about the sport that we drive our wives to distraction with. So anyway, let's get on with it. Let's get into the weekly roundup. Not a huge amount happened in the world of news for the Magic this week. I suppose the biggest thing that's happened is that we've picked up the 4-year option for Mo Bamba, and he's also been cleared for full contact drills. We don't have a return date yet for him for the court, but that's progress that he's allowed to be part of full contact drills. Chris, Mikey Grant and I have spoke about Mo on the podcast before. I'd just be interested in your take on us picking up his option and how you feel Mo can progress.
Well, it was always smart to pick up his option. The problem is he's pretty much been basketball's version of Sisyphus, just pushing the rock up the hill. Every single time he starts getting there, something happens, the rock falls back down, he has to start from square one again. So every single time we see Mo, he's kind of in the worst position you can be in for a third-year player, where we don't know if he's good or if he's bad. So we can't give up on him yet, but he's done enough. So picking up that 4th year makes sense, but we still don't really know what we have with him.
Yeah, I think that's where we were kind of coming with previously when we spoke about Mo, saying that, you know, in his defense at times has been at an elite level, and then he gets injured and he's got to start the same thing again. So yeah, we're in full agreement with you, my friend, full agreement. Also Magic news this week, and this has happened today. The 10-day exhibit contract players have been waived by the Magic. So we've seen the last of Devin Kennedy, Robert Franks and John Tesk. That leaves the squad with 17 players, including two-way contracts being Jordan Bone and Kareem Mane with the Lakeland. I think that's something that we were expecting. Any surprises for you there, G?
I was quite a big fan of Devin Kennedy. I thought he came in and showed his worth a little bit, in limited minutes. So it's just a bit of a shame we haven't got another two-way spot to keep him on the roster as such. So a little bit of a shame, but it is what it is, and that's what happens with fringe players.
Yeah. We don't see a lot of college basketball and the like. Have you seen much of these three guys, Chris, at all in coverage?
I know John Teskey was a long-term player from Michigan. A little bit limited, but he played on some good teams. I'm not really that excited about his pro potential. The two-way guys we do have, though, Bone and Manet, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Those two are the exact type of guys you want in your two-way spots. Bone is the type of guy, he's limited, but he's got NBA athleticism. He's somebody who you need a little bit more time to see kind of what he can become. And then the Canadian kid is coming from a weird situation, and he's going to be kind of a good test for our development system.
He seems to be getting a lot of plaudits for his raw ability, his raw talent. As yet, he's not that polished. So being two-way with the Lakeland, who have got quite a decent track record of bringing players through, I think it's a good place for him. Hopefully, we can see something of him in the future. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it feels like this year the Magic have used the two-way contracts properly. It feels like the last few years they've used them as just fill-in players. I'm trying to think of the point guard. Is it Josh Majette who we had?
Josh Majette.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the sort of player you want to bring in on a two-way contract. They're really there as developmental players that you want on the fringes of the roster, but they're also going to go and play in Lakeland and get time playing in a similar system, aren't they? So yeah, there wasn't really any room for any other players. We've got depth this year, which might be important given that it's going to be a bit of an odd season. But I think we're going to, I don't think we're going to see much time. It's going to be if we're going to get injuries or if COVID hits a couple of players, those players can fill in for a few days and fill in those spots.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, we've also played 3 games this week. The first one was the loss in Atlanta, 107-116. Gee, what was your thoughts on that particular game?
Yeah, it seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? With the 2 Hornets games between. Yeah, so this game, as Paul said, we lost 116-107. We were down early, down up to 10 after the first, only down at 6 at the half. But Clifford showed that he shortened rotation for that game just to get, your core players a bit more game time. So he stepped that up. Clifford was critical of the performance, citing too much fouling. But we did get to see Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz and what hopefully becomes our kind of backcourt of the future. Fultz posted figures of 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Something else was that he shot 2 for 2 from 3, which, is something we want him to develop. We've had too many point guards in the past who couldn't shoot the 3 or free throws. So that's good. Cole Anthony posted 16 points, 4 and 4, shooting 6 of 10, and again shooting 2 of 4 from downtown. You've got the normal stats from the other core starters. AG finished 15, Vooch 14, Evan 13. So it was a preseason game. We're not going to get down on the loss. It was about getting players fine-tuned. A lot of them came out aggressively, but as Coach Clifford said, he wasn't happy. Too many fouls. So, we just take the loss, move on to the next one. And it was a good opportunity to have a workout against a decent Atlanta team.
Absolutely. Chris, what were your thoughts on the game loss that we had against Charlotte, the first return to the Amway, the 123-118 loss?
Yeah, so it's always kind of tough to take a lot from preseason games because you could really tell that Clifford's trying a lot of different things. I think the most obvious thing is we've kind of stopped or not used our drop coverage and pick and roll with Vucevic on the court, gone to more of like a scrambling defense to kind of work on that. It's not the type of style we should play right now with the personnel and actually, missing Isaac. But that's kind of led to a lot of poor defensive performances, specifically for that first Charlotte game. The big news from that game was we're starting to get to a normal rotation, and we're getting a really good, really exciting bench lineup. The starters didn't really play that well in the first half, and the bench kind of bailed them out with 29 first half points. Cole, Ross, and Chuma at the same time in the game. It's really exciting. There's a lot of they make mistakes, but one major thing that kind of stood out to most Magic fans, I think, was the passing of Chuma Okeke, specifically on that one backdoor cut with Terrence Ross. That's one of the things you want to see from a rookie, noticing that type of option in a play.
Right. I'm going to just drop to Mikey because I remember reading on Twitter you were fairly vocal about a certain Evan Fournier in that game.
Yeah, I didn't like his attitude in that game. I know it's preseason, but he just didn't look. He wanted to be out there. I think he finished with 4 points. He was dragging his heels. He was slow on rotations. And it was the Evan Fournier we don't like. I think the reason a lot of us hate him, let's be honest, there are people that do, is Vooch and Fournier, your best two options offensively, and they put a ceiling on the team, and that's where we feel like we can't progress. We'll go on to it a bit later because I know Chris shares a similar had a similar approach, wanting Fournier and Vooch move this offseason to try and give the young players a little bit more of a bigger role, with next year's draft in mind as well. But anyway, going away from that, we'll talk about that later. I wasn't a fan of Fournier, and it wasn't one of his best games, so I'm just going to leave it there.
You know what
it's
it
kind
was?
Of par for the... Sorry.
Do you know what it was? It's because Terrence Ross got a dunk, and he was winning the competition in that little bet they had. It was 1-0 Ross, so he wasn't happy.
Chris, you were saying something as well, mate.
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course for Evan. If you go through all of his preseason stats from the past, it's 4 points, 6 points, 8 points. He really doesn't show up for exhibitions.
I was interested to see as well Steve Clifford coming out and saying that, he was disappointed with the performance and he was very critical of it. But he was also saying that they'd had 2 really heavy sessions, 2 heavy days of 5-on-5 games in training. And he felt that also had an effect on the team, which was an interesting take. But to last night, and Mikey, the win against Charlotte, 117-120. Thoughts, mate?
Yeah, we got off to a good start. We got off to a better start than we did in the first game against the Hornets. It was led by Vooch, who had 11 points in the first quarter, 3 threes, and we built a 23-point lead, I think, during the game. But I thought the effort was better. Again, I think, like we've already touched on, they looked a bit leggy. They looked a bit tired after some heavy sessions during training camp and before that last Hornets game. So they looked like they had a little bit more on their legs. Aaron Gordon got 20 points, got to the free throw line, which was good to see. Didn't really like some of his shot attempts. Again, maybe it's just preseason. He's just trying to get himself back into the rhythm again. But really, the night was all about Cole Anthony, wasn't it? He was actually part of that group that gave away that 24-2 run that the Hornets made that gave them the lead during the fourth quarter. And it looked at that point that the floor was going to drop out from us. And actually they found a way to get themselves, gather their confidence again and I think Clifford took a time out and they come out of that with a little bit more patience. I think they didn't let the Hornets get in their face a little bit more. But that, yeah, I thought it was a really nice fourth quarter for him, and he obviously had the game-winning bucket and a couple of free throws to ice the game as well. And for me, he's the one player that since Weltman's come in that he's probably got the most polished game. When you think about Isaac and Bamba and Fultz being acquired, they're raw players. They've got lots of development to do, whereas Cole looked like he's NBA ready. He's obviously good. He's a good shooter from outside. He didn't look like the game was too fast for him. He looked like he was in control of what he was doing. He had a few turnovers, but he's a rookie. He's going to do that this season. But Clifford's going to help him improve that. But yeah, no, I really thought it was a nice performance to round out the preseason. So hopefully we're good to go against Miami.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
One thing I liked about what Clifford did there was he stuck with the guys that gave up the, I think we were how much, up 11 or something going into the fourth. And then they made that run and he kept with the guys. Cole Anthony playing the whole fourth quarter and just giving him the experience, him and Okiki. So, good on Clifford just to stick with him instead of pulling him.
Yeah, fair point, G. Fair point. So, how would we sum up and how do we feel coming out of preseason? Chris?
Good. I think the last two games are kind of going to be a microcosm of everything going into the future, where we have an exciting but young bench. They're going to be the reasons we lose games. They're going to be the reason we lose leads, and then they're going to be the reason we overperform sometimes. Super excited about Cole Anthony. It's nice to have another guy who can create off the dribble. Chuma looks completely lost, but he's bad in all the ways you kind of want a rookie to be bad. Flashes shooting efficiency, flashes spacing. You see a lot of smart moves. It's just the game's too fast for him right now. I think what'll calm him down a little bit is when we start to mix the rotation a little bit and kind of go away from starting lineups and then bench lineups when you have Fournier playing with Cole and Ross and Chuma coming in with the starters. That'll kind of help a lot more. Vucevic, I've never been known to be a Vucevic guy, but we got to start applauding him for his consistency lately, just from the bubble going into the preseason. I think he's ready for a big year. At least I hope so. Keep his trade value up. But yeah, it's I'm a little surprised that we're not getting as much love with the national media over here. It seems like we're the favorite to take a step backwards, and I don't really see that with the way Clifford has this team playing.
We had David Steele on a couple of weeks ago, and we were discussing where we felt the season could go. And he was quite bullish about the Magic's opportunity to be challenging for the sixth position, sixth seeding. He feels that the continuity and the depth that we have, that we are improved on last season. So that's interesting to hear you take a similar sort of view, Chris.
Right.
I also thought one of the things that you put out in one of the games as a tweet around the defense, that don't get overexcited about it. At this stage, we're playing a lot of rotations that we never play, and we're playing the sort of defense that we don't play. And I didn't realize that there are agreements between the two teams as to we will play zone out of a timeout, and we will play this sort of defense for you at this period of time. And I thought it was a really interesting take that you'd put out, because it's somebody thought people were getting overreacting again, as Magic fans do on Twitter.
What?
I know, shocker. And all the defense, this and this. It wasn't the case. And I think it's exactly right what you've put out, mate, that we were playing rotations that you will not see again in the season. I think that's absolutely right. Grant, your thoughts, mate, on pre-season?
Well, I can't really add much to what you guys have just said. It's the pre-season. It's a good run out. The important thing is we haven't got any injuries. So, we're all tuned up now, and let's get ready for Miami on Wednesday night.
Yeah. Okay. One thing before we move on to the new season, how do we feel about this new bench unit that we've got as a basic bench unit? Cole Anthony, Michael Carter-Williams, Terence Ross, Chuma Akiki, and Ken Birch. Chris, what's your thoughts on how they're looking early on?
I think they look great. They have the exact balance that you want in a lineup. Cole is really keeping Michael Carter-Williams in his role. He doesn't have to do too much now. He can kind of pick his spots and focus mostly on defense. With Birch, in any lineup, you're going to need shooting just because he doesn't do anything. Offensively, he's just going to get you some putbacks and stuff close to the rim. So you're going to need a lot of shooters on the court with him. And then just to have Cole, who's hit 47% of his threes in the preseason so far, Ross, who's always good for at least volume, Okiki on the floor at the same time. That's something that we haven't had, since the Dwight trade, probably.
It's so exciting to see. Mikey?
Yeah, again, I'm going to echo what you guys have been saying. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the guys come off the bench. Again, Chris already alluded to it earlier. We're going to see Fournier playing with some of these guys when you're mixing the rotations during the season. Yeah, I mean, Cole's really, is it him and Ross are the key two off the bench, aren't they? You really needed to replace DJ's ability to shoot from outside, and they did that with the draft. But I think Anthony gives us a lot more, doesn't he? I think he's a stronger player defensively as well, which is going to be a big thing. That was one of DJ's downfalls, wasn't it? Not being able to really do a lot, and MCW was covering up some of his faults and mistakes and stuff like that. So, yeah, you've got MCW's defense with Anthony's offense. Ross is going to be a flamethrower. It's going to be really interesting to see Akiki develop throughout the season. I think he's gone 5 of 15 from 3 during the preseason. So that's really good to see that he's about 34%. So if he can keep that up, that's going to be an important factor. And then obviously Bamba's likely to be coming back soon. Now he's been cleared to play. It's probably not got this too early for him at the moment. So Bert's obviously going to have that role. But if Bamba can come in and he can shoot the 3 as well, then that's really going to help spread the floor for that second unit.
Mikey, one other thing I did want to ask you this before we moved on to this point, and I apologise I missed out. As you've already said, you wouldn't have objected to seeing Vooch traded in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about this new role that we seem to be seeing with him, where the coach has got him shooting the 3? It seems very much a tactic that we're firing the ball out to him.
I just think it's a testament to his development over the last few years. Obviously, making the All-Star team 2 years ago, and he really carried that on towards the latter half of last season, and then took over in the playoffs and really gave the Bucks a run for their money, didn't he? But I like Vooch. I've got nothing against Vooch, and I think I understand why the front office want him there, because he's really the stabilizers on the bike, isn't he? He's really just trying to keep the ship steady, to give these players an opportunity to compete as well as develop. And you want to see them take over those players. Like, you want to see Bamba develop and be able to take over Vooch's role at some point. I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, I really like Vooch. And him hitting threes, him being able to, with that volume as well, is going to be really important, because we're going to go as far as Vooch takes us, really, and Fultz, they're the key too, aren't they?
Yeah. Okay, let's move it on. Opening night, the new season starts. It's I'm getting quite excited, I've got to be honest. So opening night on Wednesday the 23rd, UK time, it's a midnight tip.
Boo.
I know, we'd love to do an early one. And it's against some guys who apparently the reigning Eastern Conference champions, Southeast Division champions, and our state rivals. They never heard of them. This is the Miami Heat. Mikey, you've had to do some serious research to find out who they are. What can you tell us about it?
I did. I just nicked your article you wrote on the website. Yeah, they were a bit of a surprise. They were a surprise, but they weren't a surprise last year. Jimmy Butler's just a really, really good player, isn't he? And Bam, they're the two key guys there. Obviously, they lost to the Lakers in the finals. They brought in Avery Bradley, Mo Harkless, and they let Jay Crowder go. Derek Jones Jr., who we wanted on the Magic, so we had our trio of Jones, Clark, and Bacon, but that didn't happen. Solomon Hill, they let leave as well. So, I really see the Heat being in that maybe top tier, in the top 4 of the East this year. I think that if they can push on, I'm not really sure. Again, we've got to see what the Nets are going to provide this year. Boston, Milwaukee. I'm really interested to see what the Sixers do this year, with all the changes they've made. But I still think the Heat with Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Bam, Duncan Robinson, who just hit everything he shot from outside last year. I think they're going to be a really interesting team, and it's a really good test for us opening night. It might be the best time to play them because they haven't got a full steam ahead yet, so it might be a good chance to nick a W over them. But yeah, it's a good test. So yeah, we'll see what happens on Wednesday.
I agree with you. I think they really performed beyond expectations last season, and they played fantastic basketball at times. They defend hard and they attack as a unit. They I suppose they're what we try to be in some ways in the type of basketball that Steve Clifford gets us playing. They've set their bar high again. They are one of the few teams that are coming in with the same level of continuity that the Magic have. So, Chris, where do you see the Heat being?
The Heat, their team building is so impressive, because if you're not going to get one of those super high usage 30-point per game type guys, you're going to need 6 or 7 guys to score at the same time in each game, and they have that. They have a closer in Butler. They have complementary scoring. They have not just shooters, but elite shooters, outlier level shooters. So not the 37, 38% guys, the 44, 45% guys. They got defense and Bam. They're just, it's really impressive, the team they put together. Typically we would match up really well with them if we had Isaac, but right now I'm not thrilled with the matchup. I think they're going to miss Jay Crowder a little bit. He was one of the few guys that could shoot and defend in a complementary role. So losing him, I don't see where they've replaced that. Harkless is okay, but he's not the same type of shooter. So we'll see. Dragic is a year older. I don't think he's going to play as well as he did last year. So I think I don't see them as a finals team, but they're a second round Eastern Conference Finals team. Should be better than us.
That's a really interesting take, man. That's some good points. G?
It's like you've got my script here, I swear. Everything the guys are saying, I just agree with you totally. So I don't want to waste anyone's
That's
time.
not like you.
I know. I normally get to go first, see?
Right, I'm going to ask you then. I'll ask you the question. How do you feel about Mo Harkless having gone there?
I'm a bit annoyed. I remember when he was a rookie with us, I got his jersey and he followed me on Twitter and I was like, yay, an NBA player follows me. So that was nice. But he's bounced around a little bit, hasn't he? And he hasn't really fulfilled his potential. 3-and-D guy, like you said. But, you know, even when we passed to him in the corner and he had an open three, would you put your house on him making that three? No, you wouldn't. So you get some nice bits with his length and, you know, his ability to defend a little bit. But, you know, I'm not that bothered.
I think your words were, he's dead to me now, didn't you say?
I was saying, our private conversations, you did not say you weren't that bothered. Slight different phrasing as I remember it.
Yeah.
Then we
It's a
move
family
on to...
show.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. We've done very well on not dropping any sort of PG 13 and above language in these so far. We've done very well. Now then, from opening night, we play on the 26th and the 27th, a back-to-back in Washington. So, G, I know we spoke on here before about Washington. We did a review of them as we've been talking about the team.
Yeah.
So what's been your thoughts on looking at Washington during the preseason and how Westbrook and Beal have managed to blend together?
Yeah, well, they've only played 3 games, interestingly. So last night they played the Detroit Pistons. They beat them 99-96. Westbrook played 17 minutes, scored 8 points. Beal played 27 minutes, scored 15. Bertans, he's the only other notable, really. 11 minutes, 1 of 7 shooting 3 points. And they played 14 players, which is still quite a lot, considering that's their last preseason game. The Pistons played 13, so that tells you what kind of a game it was. You know, it was play the bench, fine-tune them, I guess, but not to the same lengths the Magic and perhaps the Hornets have been doing last night. The 2 other games they played, the first was a loss to the Pistons, 97-86. Let me see what my notes were. Westbrook didn't play that game. Beal played limited minutes again. And their first game, which is going back about a week now, they lost 119-114 to Brooklyn, where Brooklyn jumped on them 38-20 in the first quarter. Again, they played 15 players, no Beal, Westbrook, or Bertans. So hopefully, come the weekend now, we'll get them. I think they've got 1 game before they play us. They open up at Philadelphia on Wednesday night, and then we play them twice. So Westbrook and Beal hopefully won't have their legs under them, and you know there'll be a little bit of non-familiarity, shall we say, and we get a few turnovers, put a bit of defensive pressure on, and you never know. I think we can take 1 game.
Where are you on the Wizards, Chris?
I just want to know who defends on that team. They got a lot of good offensive players. They should be one of the top scoring teams in the league, but they don't have any of the role players that you need to take advantage of that offensive talent. This is a team that wasn't built specifically for Westbrook and Beal. I think if they had the choice to start the team over from scratch around those 2, they would take some of these guys, but they would supplement a lot better. The other thing, time comes for all basketball players except LeBron. Eventually, it's going to come for Westbrook, and he's approaching 900 games. Is the decline? It's coming. Is it going to come this season, or is it going to happen next season? So that's something to watch with them.
Yeah.
Well, his shooting's already on the decline, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't. He's that's exactly why I'm not too. I didn't want the Magic to get him. Is he doesn't have the game to age like a Chris Paul. So with Washington, they might be a terror early, but I'd be worried if I were them, especially with the type of season we're going into with a lot of back-to-backs, condensed schedule. I wonder how many games he's actually going to play.
I'm not sold on the Wizards for the same reason as you said at the start there, Chris. Who defends in that team? We all know that Russ isn't going to change his game. He's an athletic player, and as you said, Father Time isn't necessarily going to be kind to that game. So I'm not sold on them yet. I'm not sold on them at all. Mikey, I'll come to you in a bit. I'm not going to go over ground that we've already gone over previously about the Washington Wizards. So we'll move on to our final game of between now and when we record again. Monday the 29th, we take a visit to Oklahoma to play the Thunder. It's a 1 a.m. tip UK time, so technically it's a Tuesday game here. G, I'm going to come to you to talk about OKC, as you've got a family interest, haven't you?
I do. My middle brother, Dylan, he's a fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's been very quiet in recent weeks, especially since they've started trading everybody for first-round draft picks. No, look, they're going to have a bunch of young, hungry players, new to the league, a couple of vets there to bring them along. It's a game we should be winning, but there's nothing there to be scared of. You just got to bring your game. You should be able to get a W there. My thoughts.
Yeah, Mikey.
Yeah, the Thunder aren't going to do a lot this year. It's let's play the young guys and develop. They've got players like Al Horford, haven't they, that help mentor the younger players. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a really exciting player. He's probably the one player you want to watch on that team, isn't he? But yeah, I don't see them doing a huge amount. I expect us to win that game, but we will see.
Okay, well, that leads us nicely into the weekly predictions. So let's go for it. Where are the wins going to come? Where are the losses going to come? What do you think our record's going to be? I'll stick with you, Mikey, as you've just been talking.
This never goes well with predictions, does it? You could see this. You could see us going 3-1. I'm going to go 2-2 and just sit on the fence this week, just to see how we come out. Again, I already said earlier, playing the Heat early is a good time because they haven't necessarily got everything. They haven't got the ball rolling yet, so we might be able to nick a W there. I expect us to split series against the Wizards and then beat the Thunder. So I'm going to go 2-2. So drop to the Heat, win against the Wizards and the Thunder.
Okay, Chris, any difference?
Well, this is kind of the funny part of the schedule. I could honestly see us going 4-0, but it's really set up for classic letdowns. I could see us dropping that OKC game. It's sitting there right before Philly. Look ahead game. They're going to be hard to game plan for because their roster is completely new, and I think we'll go in there and it's really just the classic Magic game of the starters don't show up thinking that they can kind of give their C effort. So it's tough. We really have the type of game that we could come out and we could win a ton of games early because we're going to play an efficient brand of basketball. But it's going to be really interesting to see. I think 2-2 is probably a good bet.
Okay. Go on, Graham.
Yeah, 2-2, easy.
Oh, really?
What?
I'd like to say 3-1. We'll beat Oklahoma. I think we'll split with the Wizards, and then we could beat the Heat. So I've got to be different. I'm like 3-1. There we go. We beat the Heat. We beat the Wizards. We beat the Thunder.
I'm still gobsmacked. I was expecting the 4-0.
All right. Okay. No.
You see, now I'm now backed into a corner by you, Grant, because I was going to go 3-1. I
can
was
still
going to
do
go
it.
3-1. Still fit. I'll be confident. 4-0.
Nice.
Let's do it. Let's do it. 4-0. I don't actually believe that, by the way. I entirely agree with Chris that the Oklahoma game is one of those Magic games that, you know, against like the Knicks, we always expect to win, and then we just have an embarrassment performance.
Yeah, we'll lose by like 26 points or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm going to go. I'm going to be different, and I'm going to go 4-0, and we hit the ground really running.
Hashtag life of a Magic fan.
Hey, it's the start of the season. Every fan approaches the season with optimism. Those rose-tinted glasses are fully on, mate. So, having done that, Chris, we want to just ask you a bit about your fandom with the Magic. Obviously, you've already explained that when you came to the Magic, really a exciting time for the team. So, how often do you get to attend games? Do you go on a regular basis?
Uh-oh.
You there, Chris?
Sorry, it cut out there. I got you back.
Okay, no problem. I was just asking, do you get to go to games regularly? Do you attend the Amway on a regular basis?
Yeah. I try to get to at least like 3 or 4 a year, if not more. It kind of just depends on the schedule. Try to steal a couple cheap games against Indiana. For some reason, is always nobody wants to see them, so you could get really good tickets for not a lot of money. So I always try to head up there for the Midwest teams. I drive by Amway all the time, so I'm kind of right in there. But yeah. So we'll go to quite a few games a year.
Excellent. Where's your position of choice? Where do you like to sit?
Oh, gee. I mean, I try to get lower bowl whenever I can. It really depends on the match. If it's going to be against a good team, I'm going to be way up in the rafters, maybe like second or third row from the back, and have anxiety about falling off that cliff. I don't know if you guys have ever been way up there before.
Oh, yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart. But I try to get lower bowl every once in a while. That's the preferred spot, right in the back in the 100 sections.
What have you had any or a favorite fan experience with the Magic?
Yeah. So in 2009, I was lucky enough. I actually won a contest from the Magic and hit a half-court shot and won finals tickets. So I brought my sister and my girlfriend at the time to watch Kobe beat us in what was that, Game 5. So that was fun. That was probably my favorite experience, just to experience a finals game.
I'm impressed at the half-court shot, let alone the prize. Hitting a half-court shot, mate. Well played.
Yeah, well, that's the only time it was just a lucky shot. I couldn't replicate it again. I've never won anything like that before or since. It was just meant to be that time.
Grant, what about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, so you've been a fan since '95. So who's your all-time current favorite players?
Oh, gee, McGrady was the big was a big part of my childhood. I remember watching the All-Star game where he threw it off the backboard, and I had to run down the hall and wake up my parents to explain to them what they complete dead sleep, and they yelled at me. But the excitement we had during the McGrady years was something we didn't really replicate since, because we haven't had that guy since then. Other than McGrady, I mean, everybody loves Jameer. They didn't love him during the Arroyo years, but I think the totality of his career, it's kind of hard to hate Jameer. Always liked Rashard Lewis ever since he played for Seattle. He was a really fun player. playing video games with him is actually how I got around that Seattle team in 2004 or 2005 was just really fun. And that was kind of brought me around to Rashard Lewis. Since then, well, I really like Markel. He's kind of something we haven't had a lot of as Magic fans. And it's really hard to judge him because of that. I talk with a lot of Magic people who are insanely optimistic, and other analysts, and we see all the scouting reports where they're more cautiously, I would say even neutral toward Fultz. And I don't know if that's a product of we're more excited for him than what his talent is, given that we don't ever have that really athletic, shifty guard other than, I don't know, Steve Francis. But that's Fultz is my guy right now.
There's been some lazy takes on Fultz this offseason. I think, was it John Hollinger had an article last week and he was saying, he can't shoot regardless. It's like, well, no, actually his mid-range last year was legit, wasn't it? But
yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking about that. Like, is it something I'm just not seeing? Because I think he's got star potential. I think it's a foregone conclusion he's going to be an all-star one of these years. So to see the discrepancy between what we see and what other people see is just constantly me second guessing myself.
Right, Mikey, do you want to restart?
yeah, I'm gonna ask Chris a controversial question. So we had a common idea that we wanted to move Vooch and Fournier. That obviously didn't happen. There wasn't really any moves that were made this off season. What do you think the Magic should do between now and the trade deadline? Obviously, there's a lot of talk that Evan is going to be potentially on the block if the wheels fall off between now and then. And what do you think we should do next off season? Because obviously we want to position the team that Fultz and Isaac and players like that are a bigger part, aren't they? What would you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, at some point we're going to have to move past them. It's unusual to have a player on the same team like this with Vucevic. I think he's pretty close to the Magic record for most games played in the uniform. I would say trade him. It's making it easier not to trade him, considering Bamba's never really come around yet. I think if he showed a little bit more, if he was in a position where we could put our faith in him, Vucevic would have been gone by now. So I think we should trade him, and I think we will eventually. It's going to be a timing thing. I don't know if it's going to happen during the season, just because we're in a really weird year to be making moves. I don't really know what it's going to look like. Fournier, I would say, is definitely going to get moved because I don't see us re-signing him, but it's kind of the same thing that happened last year. I said the exact same thing, and he's still on the team. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Logic would say get something for a guy you're not keeping, preserve an asset. But I don't know. This front office has been conservative with their moves. They're not going to do anything because other people tell them to. It's going to be keeping all their options open to the very last minute. And it might be a situation where we want to move them, but nobody's offering something enticing for us to take back.
What's your opinion on the front office? Because I like the front office. I think the fact that they're patient more than a lot of Magic fans online are, because the trade machine's coming up all the time and all these different stupid ideas that they come up with. Yeah, I like the front office. What do you think? How would you grade them for the job that they've done up to now?
I mean, I love their thought process. They have they have things they value in players and they stick to them. It's not something where every move is situation dependent and you end up with a mismatched roster. I like the fact it seems like they have a plan and they're sticking to a plan. I like the fact that they're trying to build a philosophically consistent team around Isaac is really the what they tend to do. I don't really understand why. I feel like a lot of our fans want a move just out of impatience. They don't care what move we make as long as one is made. That's kind of my problem with a lot of Magic fans right now. Is it seems like they would just prefer that we make a trade just for the sake of making a trade versus one that fits one that serves an end game. It's nice to see finally that maybe we could get away from the shooting complaints now that we have quite a few rookies coming in, young players in a row that shoot. So hopefully that'll end that argument, and we could kind of just watch the young guys grow and pick up role players to go around them versus I don't know, the Westbrook ideas or hey, we need to trade for this aging star Harden or whoever. I like where we're going. I like the players that we have in place. I just hope eventually they're all going to be on the court at the same time.
Okay, trivia time. You got time, Mikey?
Yeah, go for it.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. So, as this is our Christmas episode, we're going to celebrate the Magic on Christmas Day. It's our 32nd season. Unfortunately, we don't play on Christmas Day this year. We've played previously on Christmas Day. So the first part of the question is, can you tell me the first time, the year that we first played a Christmas Day game?
Was it 90?
A little after.
The mid-90s when we had Shaq and Penny.
93.
It is 93, Mikey.
Ding, ding, ding. There you go.
Ding,
That was a
ding, yeah.
guess.
Okay. Well played. Nice guess. Nothing wrong with a good guess.
It's Shaq, wasn't it? Shaq would have been the pool.
Do you remember any of you remember who we played the first game?
I was 4 years old, so I don't remember that.
It'd probably be the Bulls or the Knicks.
It was the Bulls. We played.
I was going to guess the Bulls, yeah.
And lost the game 93-95. Who had the most points for the Magic in that team on that day?
That'd be Shaq.
I would go for a different answer, G.
Nick Anderson.
Nick Anderson with 24.
Hero.
We then played in 1995 against Houston Rockets, winning the game 90-92. Can you remember, or do you know why that game was significant in NBA Christmas history?
I don't even have a guess.
What year, Paul, was that? Sorry?
It was 95, season 95-96.
Well, I'm going to guess. So they played on Christmas Day and then they played in the finals. It's never happened before.
No, we played. It was the first time that they'd had the finals teams of the previous season play each other on Christmas Day.
That's what I said.
Mate, it was. I'm quite happy with that one. It was a good one. And Penny and Shaq both went for 22. Penny with the game-winning shot with 3.1 seconds left. Then we come to some very, very impressive Christmas Day performances. 2000, 2002, and 2003.
McGrady versus LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
McGrady. Do any of you remember how many points he scored in those Christmas Day games?
It was 40 something.
Yeah, it was 44, 45, right?
He knocked on the against the Pacers in 2000. He played and scored 43 points. Against the Pistons, a huge 46 points out of the Magic's 104 points. And then, as you all said, the LeBron T-Mac game against the Cavs in 2003, overtime game where LeBron dropped 34 and T-Mac dropped 41. I can't believe I'm actually putting myself out here for this one. 2008, we played the Hornets and won. Who had the most points for the Magic that day?
Hedo. There you go.
I'm so pleased that I didn't have to give the answer.
There you go, Paul.
Thanks, Mikey, for bailing me out because I would have got his name wrong. I'm terrible at his name.
What's his name, Paul?
I can't say it, mate. I can't say it. I don't want to embarrass myself at Christmas. Edo Turgaloo. I've actually got it right for a change.
You're not far off.
Oh, I'm progressing then.
Maybe we should start a petition to get him to change his name to Hedu. Okay, just for you, mate.
But that's his name shorter. Do you know that, don't you? His name's like Hidayat.
I would probably be better with his full name.
Yeah.
I just can't stop transposing his name. So, okay, we then played in 2009, 2010, 2 seasons running on Christmas Day, the same team. You remember who it was?
Was it the Celtics?
It was the Celtics, yeah. Won one and lost one. The 2009 with 27 points, who was our top scorer?
Rashard Lewis.
Dwight.
No.
Hedo.
No.
No.
Jameer.
Vince Carter.
Ah, of course.
Yeah.
Now, this one is going to be a difficult question because it's not the expected answer. But in 2010, when we played the Boston Celtics, who was the top scorer with 21 points for the Magic?
JJ Redick.
No.
Jason Richardson.
No. It was really unexpected.
Ryan.
Brandon Bass.
Brandon Bass.
Oh, wow.
Ah, there's a name.
Yeah. And can you remember when we last played on Christmas Day?
Was it 2012?
It was 2011-2012 season. Yeah, the lockout season. And do you remember what was significant about that game? The Christmas Day game?
Opening night, wasn't it?
It
No.
was opening
No, it was.
season. Yeah, and the Magic lost 89-97 at OKC. Hopefully, we don't get a repeat of that over the Christmas period. Final question then. Who was the Magic's top scorer on that day with 25 points?
Ryan Anderson.
On the nose.
Richardson.
It was Ryan Anderson on the nose, mate. Nice one. Nice one. So, at that point, Chris, thank you very, very much for coming on, mate. We've really enjoyed your company. We would love to have you back at some point if you'd come on with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, I hope I didn't embarrass myself.
No, you've done great, mate. It's been brilliant. Thank you very much. In what's been a difficult year for everybody, and certainly over here in the UK, we've got quite a few restrictions for seeing families and the like over Christmas. We want to say to everybody, have a Merry Christmas, look after yourselves, and fingers crossed, go Magic.